So Mega Patch 3 is here. In my last Chernobylite 2 video, I said I would never play this game again, but the all-new Mega Patch number 3 is out, and a bunch of you have asked me if I would play it. Sometimes you gotta give the people what they want. The developers are calling this an update that will take the game back to the roots. So I figured, why not? I'll check it out. And you know, my first Chernobylite 2 video, I feel like I kind of rushed it a little bit. I left out a lot of details, a lot of little things I wanted to talk about. I was really shell-shocked from the entire new direction that Chernobylite 2 went, and I kind of skipped over those little details I should have talked about. So in this video, I'm going to lay it all out. Now, I loved the first Chernobylite. So when I hear that the developers are saying this patch is going to take the game back to the roots, I would expect the survival horror DNA to come back. And after playing Mega Patch 3, the question is this game actually back to the roots? The short answer is no, not even close. The long answer, well, buckle up. First off, let's define what the roots actually were. The first Chernobylite wasn't pure survival horror. It had light RPG elements, base building, crafting, but all these elements were built around a survival horror framework. And that framework, that was the main root to everything else that was built around it. The survival horror framework had everything you would expect: scarce resources, tension, dread, jump scares, a mysterious and tight story, and the characters were great too. They were all perfect for a horror game. And in the first game, all the characters, they're all like kind of fucked up in their own unique way.
Они близко, мышонок. Я слышу, как они скребутся под полом. Мерзкие грызуны.
Ты про крыс? Думаешь, они могут прогрызть бетонную стену?
Но чего-то не хватает. Крысиный король. Его я больше не слышу.
Он исчез?
They're all a bit unsettling. They seemed kind of dangerous. And I'll talk more about the characters in a bit. You also had the atmosphere, which was really good. And it complemented the horror. In a way, it really served the horror. The atmosphere set the tone, getting the players' minds primed for the horror moments. And then after those scary horror moments and events happen, you're back in that thick atmosphere and those quiet, eerie lulls. And one important and rare element of the first game was this blend of psychological and environmental mystery. It's those moments where the world played tricks on you. Like, I don't know, I'm just making this up off the top of my head, but there's moments like you're walking in the woods and you see Tatiana's red dress hanging on a tree. It's blowing in the wind, and you go to get closer to get a better look, and you walk by a tree for a second that obstructs your view for just 1 second. And now it wasn't a red dress at all. It was just like some old scrap of red cloth. The game would play these little tricks on your mind like that. Like, here's another example in this clip right here. And it's that blend of psychological and environmental mystery that's so rare, and you don't really find that in a lot of games these days. But besides being something really cool, it does something else that's really, really important. It keeps the player engaged in looking at the world, because it might surprise them at any moment. I think that was a huge part of the original game. Like, that is one of the roots. So if we condense it all down, we've got survival horror mixed with psychological horror mixed with mystery. These are the roots of Chernobylite 1. So anyway, Mega Patch 3 brings absolutely none of this back at all. Yes, there are tweaks. Combat's a little snappier, some things look nicer, but the survival horror DNA is still gone. It's still a Fallout-style RPG sandbox, no scares, no resource tension, and that blend of psychological and environmental mystery from the first game, gone. Not once have I been playing and thought, wait, what did I just see? What was that? Now it's just like boring NPC chatter, fetch objectives, open world that's empty, bland. It looks really cool, but there's nothing there. Nothing makes me slow down and look anymore. But this sequel is just straight downgraded. It's more child-friendly, more gamey in presentation. Like, okay, it's obviously trying to appeal to the, like, customize your avatar and pose for screenshots crowd. Something tells me the fans of the first game, they don't really hang around that crowd. And you know, here's another small but really important thing that I think is also part of what you would call the roots of the first game. And that is, in the first game, the default language was Russian. Even though I'm not really a fan of subtitles, when I played Chernobylite 1, I played it in the default Russian language, and I used subtitles, because that's how the game was meant to be played. As an American, that added a layer of authenticity, of distance, of mystery. It's not my world, and that's the point. And even though I don't understand a single word the characters are saying, I do understand it in terms of delivery and cadence. And it sold the seriousness to me as a player. That is immersion. In Chernobylite 2, the default is English. So immediately the whole fantasy of the gritty Eastern European stalkers and gas masks and shit is just shattered.
A newcomer? Please don't step on the vegetables. They're priceless in this place.
The whole tone, everything's just so mismatched. It's like, what the fuck is going on? And to be honest, the English in this game is just not very good. The delivery is flat and the grammar is wrong half the time. And it really kills a subtle but powerful part of the atmosphere. I also liked the voice actors in the original game. I mean, in my head, I know what Igor sounds like. I know what Tatiana, what she sounds like. Then I go to play Chernobylite 2 and the default voices are replaced with English voice actors. So the voices just are all completely different for the characters that I knew. And then the voice actors aren't even as good as the Russian ones. And it's like, it's just really jarring, and it really just breaks a lot of the continuity from the first game. So, back to Mega Patch 3. The only thing that even mentions horror is these two little patch notes. They updated the mutants model to now resemble a cross between radiation victims and horror movie characters. And they also updated the lighting in many areas to further enhance the horror atmosphere. Well, okay, some models were updated and some lighting was updated, but horror is more than just lighting and models. And in the first game, the atmosphere worked because it was contrasted with danger. Now it's all just set dressing. And the mutants, to be clear, the mutants look absolutely nothing like any sort of horror character. They look really fucking lame, to be honest. I mean, don't take my word for it. Tell me, do you think this clip is scary horror mutant, or is this some PG-13 Marvel-esque bullshit?
Hey, you! That measuring device is mine, to make things clear.
Who are you? Are you one of those mutants?
You guessed because I walked out of the portal? Name's Theodore. A mutant, indeed. Be this nice and tell that scientist lady you didn't find her device.
Did you destroy the measuring device? What for?
For the money, obviously. That's my first and only lover. A merc contacted me. He knew I did shady jobs. He wanted to sabotage the doctor's research.
So none of the patch notes, none of the updates really even vaguely touch on what the roots of the first game were. I mean, it's like the developers don't even know what the fucking roots of the first game were. Let's just break it down here. The first game's DNA, survival horror, mystery, tension, gritty Eastern European tone.
All of this in search of her. Tatiana, you're the reason to close my eyes. It's not about how I face my fears. It's about how I survive them.
The sequel's DNA: fantasy action RPG, third-person dress-up simulator with no horror. The Steam page doesn't even list the game's genre as being a horror game. That's not an accident. They knew they weren't making a horror game when they started making it. And it's not just that the first game's DNA is gone. It's so much more than that. Let's look at just the overall writing and tone of the second game, because it's a fucking train wreck. So in the first game, the characters were all broken, all fucked up, all a bit unnerving. They all seem dangerous, they're all a little bit insane. They all wear masks that hide their faces. They're all very different from one another.
Он может что-то знать, а может просто ждет, когда можно будет проломить тебе череп и съесть твою печенку на ужин. Не думаю, что это хорошая затея. Слишком похоже на ловушку.
Зывать. Что ты хотел, Миша?
Да стебусь я над тобой, расслабься. Скучно тут. Ты ведь раньше жил в Англии? Кушал английский завтрак, устраивал себе 5 o'clock, рассекал на Астон Мартине, потягивал мартини, крутился в высшем свете. Настоящий, сука, Джеймс Бонд.
На завтрак я овсянку ел, если что.
The sequel has devolved into fucking Marvel superhero tier writing. Every character is so fucking lame. Either they have forced, quirky personalities, or they are as dull as a brick. Like, here, just look at this.
Over here, darling! We need to hurry! Jeez Louise, I was starting to think I'd grow roots here. Let's get at it, shall we? No, the Pope, John Paul II. Look, sweetie, I'm really in a hurry, and Sonia said you'd be plenty of help, don't you know?
Kulan, why don't you slow down and start over?
Oh, sorry about that, Plane Walker. When I get working on tasks, I tend to get a little too worked up. No pun intended. The good Dr. Milena Lockwood needs some spare parts for her fancy device. She sent me on a treasure hunt. Oh, sure, a treasure hunt, you know. That's like one of those games or adventures where folks go looking for hidden stuff, maybe a prize or something.
It's like a shitty Marvel movie. Like they sat down to write the characters and said, oh, they have to be funny, they have to be quirky. And it just makes me want to vomit. And besides the PG-13 quirky characters, the other ones are just, like I said earlier, as dull as a fucking brick. Like, listen to this shit.
May not work exactly as I wished it to work, Planewalker. It wasn't my intention to put you in danger, believe me. I know about the crane, but I couldn't predict the disruptor's energy could be used to enliven it. Dr. Filinkova described to me this theory some time ago, but it required a crazy amount of exotic energy. I think Dr. Filinkova deserves my appreciation now. I'll contact her personally and ask. We'll have to find the cause of our failure and start preparation. Anyway, thank you for your help. I'll contact you if I have anything concerning our common goal. For now, that's all. I need to go back to work.
You work too much, Dr. Lockwood. Get some sleep. Or coffee, at least.
I've been a witness to Chernobylite breaking the known laws of physics, or also evading the natural passage of time, but its latest behavior differs significantly from everything we're familiar with. I've been observing Chernobylite for a long time, and I suspect it in fact uses electromagnetism, so it could hold on to the zone like a tick. But this tick, it makes Earth sick. Forests die, rockets fly, and the lake dries out. I set some sensors there, same as in Yanev Station. But the results were weird. Either Chernobylite's more fucked up than I thought, or someone's changed the settings of my sensors. Sorry for the language. Also, something happened with wireless data transfer. This may again be Chernohost's job. There are plenty of them there, and they could destroy it.
What the fuck? All the factions, the scientists, the mutants, the mercs, there's nothing interesting about any of them. As I'm playing the game, it's just really hard to give a shit. There isn't anything interesting happening in their main bases. And the characters that you can recruit back to your base and the ones who are like staying in your base with you, I just dread when I have to fucking talk to them. Because every line is filled with sarcasm, or it's fucking quirky, or it's trying to be funny.
What? Please, just stop talking. Please stop already.
This is getting better and better.
I'm sorry. I wasn't addressing you. Anyhow, before we get started, I'd like to double check. You're the planewalker, right? You came from that ship above us? Yeah, I was aware of that. I just needed to hear it from you. Thanks for being honest. Establishing trust is crucial. I've got another question for you. Are you familiar with Gleb Kozlov?
Sergeant Glebe?
No, I'm not. Just, please, don't make it awkward. I'm in the middle of a conversation. Sorry, it was nothing.
It didn't sound like nothing.
Just shut the fuck up. Then you have the enemies and the combat. And it's a shit show. I mean, combat was clunky in the first game. Like, it wasn't bad, because it really... With a survival horror game, you can get away with, like, a lot of clunky combat. It kind of fits the game, you know? But this game is a whole different level. I mean, the melee combat is just like, circle strafe until you backstab an enemy.
Nobody fuck.
And the enemies, just like what they are doing on the screen looks so ridiculous. Like they're twirling around like a ballerina or some shit the whole time, and it just looks so fucking stupid. The guns, like, yeah, enemies aren't as bullet spongy as they were, but they're still really fucking bullet spongy. And then you have your Chernobylite powers. It's like that cartoonish magic spam shit. And the enemy variety is fucking weird. It makes no sense. Like, you walk up on a group of bad guys. There's a dude in modern military gear. There's a dude who looks like he's half dressed up as a medieval knight. Then you'll have a scientist, like, casting spells at you. This is all in, like, one group of bad guys. It's like, what the fuck? And as I'm playing the sequel, it's just like, I just want a visceral gunfight so bad. I just want something where it feels like the enemy AI are somewhat tactical and are trying to take me down, but it just doesn't exist in this game. And look, like, the first game didn't exactly have the greatest combat. It was very clunky and rough around the edges, but like I said, because of its survival horror roots, the clunky combat worked. And there was more than a few times where the gunfights with the Nar soldiers were really intense and really fun. So now they have a sequel that's not a survival horror, but the combat has gotten worse. Well, I have a theory, you know, and I can't say for certain what happened behind the scenes. Obviously, I'm not in the dev meetings, but playing this, I started to get the sense that instead of fixing the clunky combat and smoothing out the rough edges from the first game, they just pivoted. They wrapped the same core mechanics in RPG systems, skill trees, and a tone shift, hoping it would just smooth over the problems. The advantage of this kind of shift is obvious. I mean, when everything's build your own playstyle, you don't need tight encounter design or pacing. You can hide the weak points behind player choice and big set pieces, but the cost is massive. You lose the tension, the focus, and the horror. And what you get in exchange are moments like this fucking sentient Chernobylite crane boss fight. Technically, it's functional, but tonally, it's absurd. It's spectacle instead of atmosphere. It feels less like they evolved the gameplay and more like they duct taped an RPG on top of the same old clunky combat and hoped no one would notice. And this is what I'm going to call the RPG cop-out, because that's what this is. Instead of refining core mechanics, the devs try to hide them under RPG systems, skill trees, and a tone change. I mean, think about it, right? The RPG quote-unquote freedom lets them avoid designing tight, balanced encounters. Then you have your light, goofy tone with your quirky characters, and it's added just to like distract from the inability to sustain horror pacing or any sort of real pacing. Then that leads to the absurd set pieces, the sentient cranes, the fucking fantasy dragons or whatever. And that's what you get instead of those small, unnerving, mysterious moments. And here's the thing, that RPG cop-out, it doesn't just patch over bad combat. It straight up rips out the DNA of the first game. Just rips those roots straight out of the fucking ground. And you know, I could be wrong about all that. I don't know the devs' actual thought process. But if they honestly thought the combat system from the first game would just glide right into a RPG fantasy game, I mean, whoever is in charge making these decisions is completely delusional and out of touch. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the random fantasy enemies like the dragons. I mean, what the fuck is this? I also think it's funny how they try so hard to avoid calling it what it is.
Caution, a massive Chernobylite creature is approaching.
It's a fucking dragon. It's not a winged creature. Like, why aren't you just going to call it what it is? It's a fucking dragon. Everyone knows it. I mean, you can fight its dragonkin and they are all named Dragon. Yeah, it's a terrible idea. And you know, I'm sorry to the artists and the animators that made this thing because they did a really good job, but it just doesn't fit the game at all. And it's just really silly. But, you know, at the same time, silly seems to be the tone they wanted to go for, so I don't really know. Speaking of the dragon, as you're running around the game world, the dragon will sometimes fly down near you. And since this is a fantasy RPG game now, there is only one thing to do with a dragon, and that is to slay it. And the health bar is locked. Like, what the fuck is this? Imagine if you went to kill a dragon in Elden Ring and the health bar was just locked. Like, what the fuck? And of course, just of fucking course, the dragon can kill me though, but I can't kill it. Like, come on. So yeah, I mean, Mega Patch 3 basically did absolutely nothing to bring this game back to any sort of roots. It brought back zero survival horror or any sort of maturity. So instead of me just making a video talking shit the whole time, which would be really easy to do, I'm going to give my suggestions on what could be done to try and salvage this train wreck. I understand the game has gone the wrong direction for so long now that some things just cannot really be changed at all at this point. But it might be possible to change what's there in a way that makes it somewhat recognizable and adds in a bit of the original identity back. So here are my suggestions, and I'll just say the idea, I guess, and later I'll describe what I mean, and, you know, I'll try to give examples about how it can be done. So to start, the survival horror element must return. I mean, without the horror element, you have no roots. Without it, the game is never going to reclaim its identity. And here's how I would do it. I would design everything around a new rule called Make the Dome Terrifying. And by dome, I mean the entire game world, which takes place inside this giant dome. In the current game, the dome is just the whole everything. It's just an exotic backdrop. Things look decent. They look weird, but safe. Like, the environments look great. The environmental look of it doesn't really have to change at all, but it's about the tone and the mood of it all. So many aspects of the game are just so weak. The quests, the enemies, all of it. But the reason everything in the game world feels weak and PG-13 is because the horror roots don't exist in this game. So make the dome actually fucking terrifying, and it will be the new roots to grow the rest of the game back to its survival horror identity. Do not water it down. The fear aspect needs to come back harder and stronger than in the first game. And I mean, make it absolutely fucking brutal, darker, more violent, more twisted. Make the dome feel like a nightmare. And this will work great with the plot too. At the start of the game, the main character is in his nice little apartment and society seems really nice. Everything's running off Chernobylite. It's a pleasant world. So make this place the exact opposite. Make it a true fucking nightmare. Currently, in the dome, you run errands and do fetch quests and wander through open areas without ever feeling like you're in a place you shouldn't be. It has no oppressive mood, no sense of dread, it's just a setting. And having these goofy looking Cherno hosts patrolling around, this shit is not going to cut it. This is not interesting. So me just saying, make the dome terrifying, yeah, that's pretty vague. That can cover a lot of areas, so I'm going to suggest some specific ideas, and I'm not saying they have to do exactly what I'm about to suggest or anything like that, but if it were me, these are the kinds of ideas I'd use to get the game back to its roots. And I think my ideas really paint a picture of what kind of game the fans of the first game would love to see. And I'm not going in any particular order here, but for example, take this giant insect boss fight. When doing the scientist quest, you have to go find a device to get a reading on top of this building, and when you get up to the roof, this big insect bug creature attacks you. But the tone of it all is just so safe. I mean, it's wide open, clear sight lines, bright sky above, nothing even remotely scary or interesting about it. The model of the creature looks great though, but the context of it makes it feel like this is like an MMO boss, not a horror encounter. Everything about it screams safe. So here's what I would suggest. Instead of having the fight take place on a random roof, which makes the creature feel really out of place, have the fight take place underground in a lightless, claustrophobic cavern. This environment would feel and look like it's made by the creature. The walls would be made of like a chitinous material, maybe some webbed-like materials too, and the floor is sticky. The player's footsteps sound gross. This cavern is dark with organic tunnels curling into the darkness. Maybe this thing eats a lot of like people that wander into its nest, and this place is just full of half-eaten corpses and shit. Like you are in its nest, its lair. So the layout would be like a bunch of tunnels and cavern areas that are really tightly designed with paths that loop back to where you were, you know, disorienting type stuff. And the boss itself, instead of just having it a standard MMO boss fight like on the roof, make it actually like an insect. You hear it before you see it. Skittering noises, dirt and debris falling from above, faint tremors as it moves. Lighting is like minimal or non-existent. You are in a dark and scary place. It would be really tense, and then suddenly this thing just fucking comes running out of a hole at the player attacking, and ideally the player would have time to dodge or block its attack before counterattacking. Then after the creature attacks, it retreats back into the tunnel. So the combat would be broken up by moments of the player having to hide and listen and slowly explore forward, wondering when and where it's going to strike from next. Even have moments where you think it's about to attack, but it doesn't. Maybe your flashlight only catches like a glimpse of it before it disappears into the dark again. Something like that would be way more interesting than just fight giant bug on a roof. And currently the fight is just, it's just circle strafing and unloading bullets, or smacking it in the ass with your melee weapon. It's just not that interesting. And there's no context for this bug being on the roof in the first place. And if they truly want to go back to the roots, they're going to have to fix the fucking characters. Because, in the original game, all of the characters were a bit crazy. They were all fucked up. So expand on this with the factions. For example, make the mutants, the whole faction, like fucking sadistic cannibals or some shit. You want rep with the mutants? You gotta bring them their favorite meal, a stew made of scientist brains and merc tongues or something. Gaining their trust means doing something deeply wrong. Make them violent in ways that disturb the player. Mutant territory should instantly feel unsafe, like ambient screams, bone piles, like fires cooking with like questionable meat, or maybe just like an obvious human leg roasting or something. Like the player should enter their area with genuine dread, not, oh cool, here's some XP and some loot and a vendor, like whoop-de-fucking-do. They can still be trying to go for the same goals they are now in the game. Maybe make the leaders of the mutants a bit less vicious, maybe more clever, And then, like, make the scientists also fucked up, right? Maybe they do fucked up experiments on the mutants, all in the name of science. And those are just, I don't know, I'm just throwing out ideas here, but I think everything I just said would make those characters 100 times more interesting than whatever they are now. And you have to remove the Marvel-style tone in the quirky writing. This shit has to stop.
Deliberate innovation yielder. That's my DIY now. Quite the switcheroo, don't you think?
Or you could just say necessity's the mother of invention. It's nothing new.
My DIY. It's a whole different ball game. A completely different deal.
Well, I guess we'll find out in the next couple of minutes.
No need for me to gab on. Best way to get the hang of it is to dive right in and learn by doing. Practice makes perfect after all. Alrighty then. Gonna do a little scouting and fetch you 3 makeshift swords just like that. On the double.
Make the characters all fucked up, dangerous, dark, a little insane. Do something, but just get rid of this fucking Marvel-style tone. This shit is the absolute worst. Probably the worst part of the whole game. If I had to just name a single thing, this is it. Here's a suggestion that could be done pretty fucking quick too. Every single main character, or the characters that come back to your base with you, it doesn't have to be every character in the game, but all the main ones, just open up the folder in Unreal 5 that has all the gas masks and put a fucking mask on these people's head, because, I mean, the masks and gas masks and shit in the first game were badass. They looked sick. But in this game, they don't have anything covering their faces, and these characters, like, none of them look interesting at all. At least in the first game, their masks and shit, like, gave them something unique and interesting to look at, and it fit the whole gritty Eastern European Chernobyl vibe. I feel like this shit's kind of obvious, right? Like, I'm a fucking American. What the fuck do I know about gritty Eastern European shit? But, like, I'll tell you right now, this.
Welcome again to the booth of the Grand Inquisitor Vitalik. Just kidding. What do you need?
This is not it. Hopefully, at the very least, they, like, get rid of all this shitty, quirky writing, this PG-13 style goofy-ass writing, and they put some badass masks on these characters' heads, and they fucking get the tone starting to head back towards where it should be. And earlier I talked about the mixed and matched bad guys you come across. I don't know, that shit needs to be cut too. It needs to be, you have your 3 main factions, and then the Cherno host people. You have groups of people that aren't on any faction. They're controlled by Tatiana or whatever. But it needs to be like, okay, you have your group of bad guy scientists, right? And they use high-tech pulse rifles and plasma weapons or whatever the goofy spell-casting shit is. And then if you have like a merc group, right, they use assault rifles and assault weapons and very tactical military type of combat. And then the mutants are more vicious. They're like the sadistic cannibals. They use machetes and maybe small arms like pistols and SMGs. And keep each group separated, and don't mix and match them. Keep them separate and together. So if the player stumbles upon a group of cannibals that are like out in the wild, they attack the player and they run at them, and they're just like, the cannibals themselves are wild and vicious. The combat's going to be completely different than if they stumble upon a group of mercs who are like all tactical and military and using long-range assault weapons. And that would add an element to the game that makes the world feel cohesive, like it makes sense. It would be fun too, like, you know, oh, I can see that it's a group of mercs out in the distance. I need to think about how I'm going to approach this group of guys. And that reminds me, I forgot to talk about stealth earlier, because stealth was a huge part in the first game. And that's just like, doesn't really exist in this game. I mean, in this game, you kind of just run by enemies if you don't want to fight them. There's not really stealth anymore at all. I mean, it might be too late to even try to bring that back, I'm not sure, but that's something to think about. While we're on the topic of enemies, the Cherno hosts, those were like pretty fucking scary in the first game. And now they're just a joke. Like, they look so fucking goofy. The way they walk and have the fantasy shields. This shit has to go. Like, the Cherno hosts, when they show up, it needs to be like a oh shit moment for the player. Like, oh god, I'm fucked. what have I done? Are these guys really attacking me right now? No way, this is really bad. Instead, it's like, oh, there's some Cherno hosts, and they look so fucking goofy with their shields and the way the guys with the big hands walk. Like, I just start, like, laughing. And I guess I'll just circle around them, backstabbing them until they die. It's not, like, interesting or fun at all. So, basically, all the enemies, all the characters need to be fixed, like, really badly. And they all need to go back to the horror roots. The combat needs to be visceral. While we're on the topic of enemies, like the dragons, the fantasy shit, I don't know, I think it has to go too. It's too much. It's just too much. Like, this is, I don't know, if you think about what the first game was and like the gameplay and how it all played out and the story. The fantasy dragons, just no. Just please, God, no. I know it sucks. I'm sure they took forever to make. But, it's just not... It just doesn't fit the game. Like, the sentient crane. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, what are you guys going for here? I mean... I'm thinking about the first game, and Igor's like a scientist, right? And like, what would he say about this? I mean, how does this work? How exactly does this happen? I mean, how is this crane moving? So has like the Chernobyl crystals in it are somehow activated, but it doesn't have any way to just move like this. Like, it's moving like it's a living being, like... But the crystals, they don't have tendons, and like, how is it generating the laser beam, right? Like, this doesn't make sense. Like, the more you think about it, the more it's like, yeah, sure, you can say, oh, the Chernobylite has powers that we just don't understand, but like, come on. Like, even if you start throwing your quantum physics and multi-dimension shit out there, like, this is just too much, man. Like... This shit has to go. It's too fucking goofy. You know what? No. You could keep it. I think the crane, you could probably keep the crane, but put it with some random-ass side quest that the side quest just, it ends up being way bigger of a quest than like one would think, and this goofy-ass crane fight is at the end of that side quest so that it doesn't really, you know, the tone of it, you know, it's just a side quest, whatever. But this whole thing right here, this needs to be the absolute goofiest the game goes, because this is really pushing it, man. Like, I honestly don't even know how this game got to this point. I don't know, it's just really sad, because, like, before I made this video, I started playing through the first game again, and it's just such... Everything about it is just so... The atmosphere of it all, the tone of it all, it's just on a whole different level. And to see it devolve into this fantasy bullshit it's just really sad, man. So, you know, that's why I'm even giving these suggestions, but maybe it'll spark that fire, that vision of what the first game was and that magic that it had. So I guess I'll get back to the suggestions. So when you're running through the open world, there's not really much to do or to stop and look at. Maybe there's like some empty cans or gas canisters to pick up, whoop-de-fucking-do. One thing I would suggest, and I think could be kind of cool for this game, and it would fit in with the fantasy RPG shit, is like have areas where the player can enter into dungeons. And there's already like pseudo dungeons kind of set up, right? But like expand on these and make it really tight. Make it like a unique experience, each dungeon, and there could be like a lot of environmental storytelling going on, but they would need to be really, really fucking scary. Like, if the player's going to go down to one of these dungeons, there might be really good loot at the end, but they are going to be fucking terrified when they walk into it. Have the dungeons fuck with their head, make it just really tight, really focused, really fucking scary. And you could scatter these all over the world, and it would be something fun to try to like find and explore and be like, oh shit, there's a dungeon here. Fuck, should I go in? Do I have enough gear right now? I've been running around in the world. Maybe I'm not ready, but I don't want to go back and then have to come back out here. You know what? I think I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go for it. I think things like that is what makes RPG games kind of fun, and it would fit really well in this game. So, I don't know, just an idea. I think a lot of the quests need to be really reworked or just straight up cut. I mean, what's the deal with this quest? With this fucking goofy guy who's like from this dimension, and the Planewalker Sergeant guy is in his head because they're the same person from different dimensions. It's like almost a cool idea, but the direction it's taken is to make it all goofy and quirky, like a Marvel movie. So, like, what the fuck? I mean, what I would do is I would have it to where the sergeant guy, he crashes, right? And he straight up takes over this dude, but doesn't say anything to anyone. And you don't even realize that the guy who you think is a sergeant isn't even the guy from this dimension. And maybe, like, later on in the game, you find the sergeant's capsule with him still inside it. And you're like, what the fuck? And you're like, you're not the sergeant. And he's like, no, I am the sergeant. Trust me, I really am. I know you don't believe me, but I am. And like, you learn that he took over this guy's head. Maybe you have to make like a decision. Do you believe him? Do you kill him? Like, what are you going to do? I think little tone changes like that would go a long way. And it just makes the whole game more interesting and more fun to think about. And finally, like, what the fuck's going on with Tatiana? Because in the first game, like, Igor's obviously, like, fucking a little bit crazy, right? Even all the crazy characters in your base, they think he's insane. Even the player, you're like, you know something's not quite right with him. And so he's hearing her talking to him. He's, like, hallucinating these things. And it makes sense because she was his wife and he loved her. And, like, you don't know if, when you hear her voice, is it a memory that Igor's just remembering or thinking about her talking? Or is it actually like her speaking to him?
Таня? Таня, прекращай эти шутки.
Ну ты и Соня. Игорь.
Татьяна Амалеева, немедленно прекрати это ребячество. Где ты?
После стольких лет. Я, Татьяна Амалиева, беру тебя, Игоря Хименюка, в законные мужья и обещаю любить тебя, чтить и уважать, быть тебе верной и не отрекаться от тебя, пока смерть не разлучит нас.
And it makes sense in that first game, in that context. But in this game, it's like Tatiana starts speaking, and she's just instantly like evil and bad.
You will die here on the foreign ground, separated from the family that longs for you and needs you. You're alone here.
It feels so fucking out of place. You get her violin music playing, and it's like, well, what the fuck? In the first game, you know, Igor talked about how she loved to play her violin, so it makes sense. But in this game, like, who the fuck is Cole Black? Why would Tatiana even talk to him at all? and she doesn't try to trick him or mess with his head. Like, you'd think maybe she should be whispering shit like, don't believe them, or whatever. But instead, she's just instantly like, you're not going to get back home alive, ha 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 ha. And it's not good. Like, I don't know. I don't like it. I hate her English voice too, by the way. If it's possible, they need to just fucking delete all the English voice lines and just bring back the Russian voices, because said, oh, well, we already have our dragons. Why don't we just make, just give the main characters British accents so that the dragons will fit in nicer. Our game can have dragons and British people like Skyrim. What's the deal with the whole multiplayer thing too? That they need to just scrap that immediately. Just cut it, because it's not fun. That whole thing is just weird. Like, what's the point of it? Is the point that I'm supposed to do it to get rep and items? Because if that's true, then, like, what's the rest of the game world for? Why wouldn't I just spam that forever until I get so much items and rep that I can just, like, walk my way through the game? Like, you could just avoid the whole game by just leveling up inside that thing? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. The idea of tacking on multiplayer onto this already busted game, that's just too much. I don't think it's possible. It's possible, but it's not gonna be good. There's just no fucking way. They need to really refocus the resources on bringing the whole game back to the roots. And later down the line, way the fuck further down the line, if there's a demand for multiplayer, sure, bring it in. But right now, that's just too much, man. Okay, so this video has gone on pretty long. I think, hopefully, I made a point with this whole video. Basically, Mega Patch 3 did absolutely nothing. Absolutely not a goddamn thing to bring this game any closer back to its roots. The roots don't even exist in this game to go back to, so they're going to have to do something drastic. I'm sure whatever they're going to have to do, it will be a shit ton of work. But I will say this, if they do not immediately rip out all this lame-ass humor, this quirky PG-13 shit, if they do not bring back the psychological, the survival horror, and they decide to go forward with this quirky fantasy RPG shit, I mean, good luck marketing your fantasy RPG to Western markets. But just know, whatever audience you think you found here, it's not the audience that fell in love with your first game. And you're never going to get them back. This has been David with Consternation Evolved. Thanks for watching.
Что говорят Таро?
Кстати, я для тебя сегодня уже вытянул карту. Влюбленные. Неплохо? У этой карты много значений. Очевидное.
Я и Татьяна.
Умница. Но еще она означает необходимость сделать выбор. Выбор, последствия которого невозможно
It's not about how you face your fears. It's about how you survive them.